Diary of Doom. I'm Dylan, and join me as we look back on the rich history of doom metal and its sister sounds based on the recounted tales of its followers. Every week, we will have a different guest to spin their yarn. You can visit the website at diaryofdoom.com, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, follow the podcast on diaryofdoom.podbean.com, and subscribe and listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you have a question or whatever, you can fire off an email to diaryofdoom1968@gmail.com. And we also have a Patreon that you can support for additional episodes and whatnot. You can find that over at patreon.com/diaryofdoom. Okay, so it's August 2020, and the last place you probably want to be is Las Vegas. Who goes to Las Vegas in August? But amidst a swath of further cancellations and rescheduled events, Psycho Las Vegas took the chance, as it is with a fest such as it, and let it rip. There was probably some trepidation from both attendees and the collection of us reviewing the event secondhand via social media. But as soon as some truly dynamic photographs started filtering onto the feed, it became pretty apparent that these bands were ready to bring it. Those moments were captured by a number of photographers, and today we have one of them with us, Tomoko Inoue, aka
Yeah.
I think I fucked it up. My New Jersey accent came out.
I love that though.
Otherwise known by the title of the Tinfoil Biter. Pretty amazing photographer that I had never heard of, but I've long admired a lot of the photographers in the heavy metal scene. I've had a couple of them on before, so it's cool to have you on because your photographs from that festival and whatnot really blew in my mind. I was like, holy shit, like who the fuck is this?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that so much.
At the moment, you're currently based out of New York City, but before you settled here, like what were you up to?
Before I settled in New York, I was born and raised in Japan, originally from this little town, it was just like outskirts of a town called Sapporo up north. Grew up in the mountains. I'd stay there probably, I'm 40 right now, so it's probably like 32 years out of 40 years of my life I spent in Japan.
And what beckoned you to leave Japan and come here?
Well, and back in the 90s, I lived in Michigan for like 2 years. That was because of my dad's job. And, that kind of opened up like a whole lot of world for me, which I'd never seen before. Like, I honestly hadn't spoken to a foreigner before even. So that was like a quite of like a shocking experience for me that changed everything in my life. And since then, I had to go back home, but I knew eventually I wanted to end up in the States, and that's what I did exactly.
It's interesting that you wound up in Michigan of all places and not like, everyone's like, oh, you go to a hub, you go to New York, you go to and I'm not trying to like dunk on Michigan or anything
Oh
like that.
God.
It's just surprising.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not like what I think of, especially like
Mm.
it's just and I don't know where specifically if you were in Detroit or anything. I just know that like Michigan's been through some shit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, sure fucking did. I was in the suburbs, up in the Wall Lake.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, not by choice. I think that his job was like appointed by the government, so he had no choice but to go there. So I obviously went there, and it's predominantly white. And I'm this like Asian kid who doesn't even speak a word of fucking English. So, that was interesting.
Was it tough and
Oh my God,
challenging?
yes, sure it was, because I had to like do all the homeworks and shit. So I spent like, 10 hours a day, like literally like, just like, with my dictionary, like, just like looking up word by word, literally, to even like, understand what was written in the textbooks. So that was tough.
And like, was it tough growing up in like a predominantly like white neighborhood?
Oh God, very much so. It was rewarding at the end, but then like, there's always that, kid who would just pick on you for your Asianness. You
Mm-hmm.
just like sit in the class, like he just like looks, turns to you and like he starts doing the whole like, the Hiroshima bomb thing,
Oof, yikes.
bomb. I didn't understand that at first. Like I didn't know what was even happening like before me. But like, probably like months later, I kind of hit me that, that was the first dose of racism that I never felt back home because like we're predominantly like I'd never seen a foreigner, like I said. So
Hmm.
yeah, that was pretty shocking.
Wow, I can imagine. That's like, I mean, I'm half Latino, and I
Yeah.
certainly experienced some, not
Hmm.
a ton in school. I think if it,
Hmm.
actually, if anything, I've probably experienced it more as I've gotten older and as
Oh, I
things have
see.
gotten a little bit more hot, like volatile in the
Right.
country. But that stinks. And but I'm glad that you were able to get over it and be able to like look past that fucking
Hmm.
shithead
Hmm.
and just be like, oh fuck that, I'll just go somewhere else and be a much cooler person.
Yeah, definitely. Like, as horrifying it was, the on the other spectrum, like I got to meet all those like cool people that I still get in touch with, like, after all these years. So, I treasure that time more than anything in my life, literally.
Like something like that seems almost insignificant to where you are now, I would imagine.
Funny enough, one of the friends that I met back in Michigan plays a huge role to my as far as like my concert photography career. I don't know, I wouldn't call it a career, but just the thing as goes. She's helped me a lot, like trying to get me in the photo pit, and I was kind of hoping I would get to like talk about that a little bit later
Oh
on.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My next question was, did you like what made you want to get into photography, and
Yeah.
like were you doing photography in Japan before this?
Well, I was just one of those little kids who would just like keep drawing all the time, like, whether it's during classes or like at home. I was just like, pen and paper was my best friend growing up, you know, um, as well as music. And I probably kept drawing till like the end of high school, I would say. Then this like, college entrance thing, you just happened, how, I don't know how, like, how much you know about Japan, but like going to college is a big thing. You have to do it like in order to get yourself a new good job, and I was just kind of like forcing myself into that kind of path where I either had to stop drawing or like not go to college. That sounds so extreme, but it was
Yeah.
true. Yeah, so I went to an art college and I learned designing and everything, and hence I just couldn't spend as much as time like I one time, like with the drawing and whatnot. So I started looking for a new medium to kind of like express myself, and I had this like really beaten up old Canon A1P, I think, that got passed on from my grandpa, and I started using it. And I was dating a musician at the time, so I started like snapping some concert photos with it, as well as like in some fashion stuff. I was still like in the process of like discovering myself, so I started doing it, and just the love of music just kind of carried my passion into the photography as well. So that's when I started doing it like in a half-ass. I didn't do it all the time, I was busy with something else too, but yeah, that's how I started really in college. And it takes like
Um
short amount of time to like then drawing to kind of like get the image in your hand. So that was kind of like the gist of like my excitement.
that's funny because like I used to draw so much
Oh
as a
really?
kid. Yeah, as a kid through high school, I was like very much, and I was not like great at it. I was never
I'm sure
really
you
good
were
at
great.
drawing. I was never really good at drawing people. I always wanted to do like I was really into comics, and I always tried to do like the scratchier art style approach. Where I'm like, this just looks like
Oh my
shit.
god, same.
It looks like weird lumpy anime, because like I had like I had to draw anime book as a kid too, and it wasn't like,
Oh.
so I don't know. I was always better at drawing like animals or something like that.
Mhm. Same.
Like dinosaurs. I'm a big fan of Godzilla. So I know a little bit about Japan, but I
Mhm.
don't know much about like the educational system, so to speak,
Right,
other than
yeah.
just it's probably different than ours.
It's a little
Um,
bit different, yes. Yeah, so that's my background. It's just it was a natural course, I would say. Like it was such a really natural to transition from like coming to photography from drawing, really. It's about like capturing this 1 second of someone's life. which is
Yeah.
just beautiful. Yeah.
What was the first band that you photographed?
I would say my ex-boyfriend's band.
Who shall remain unnamed.
I and I forgot the name of it, so yeah. So that was my first.
Well, what was the first band past that that you photographed in Japan?
I would like to say the pivotal moment for my music photography would be Down. I'm such a lucky gal from that respect, perspective. Um, because I getting back to that story of like in Michigan days, I had this friend called Kate Richardson who used to go to the same high school with me and would just hang out a lot. We were in the swimming team together. Like years and years later, like I found her on Facebook when, back when, it was still like really popular. And I asked her what she was up to, like, and she's been up to these days. And she's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm dating this musician called Philip Anselmo." I'm like, "What the?" And that's when I discovered that, she has been, with him for quite some time, and she was involved in housecore records, and that they happened to have had to come into this thing called Loud Park, which is a music festival, pretty big in Japan, like an equivalent of like probably like Ozfest or something like that. So they were Down was playing, and I boldly just asked her straight up, like, if I could shoot the show, and she said yes. And like that's when I shot them back in 2014, and they came out pretty great in my opinion. So that's how, like, started thinking maybe I could do something about this, like seriously, like, taking a serious consideration whether I could probably do this for on a daily basis because it was so exciting.
Just like mind
It was,
blown.
oh God, it was like, the whole, I have been a concert goer, right? So, to even like be in the front, even not even front row, it's in the photo pit, like that is in front of the front row, like gazing at this like amazing artists, like, and you have them all to yourself, like to photograph. That was just like the most rewarding experience I've ever experienced in my life. That was just, oh, it's hard to describe. Just my heart is like beating out of my chest like as I talk about this. It was such a moment where I will just never forget about it. Yeah. I'm sure
Wow.
you've been in a photo pit, so you know the excitement.
I mean, I don't consider myself any kind of professional or anything like that, but
Oh, come on now.
but I take I take opportunity when I can to bring a camera somewhere. So
Hmm.
I actually haven't been in like a photo pit, but like I've been at the front-ish of a venue,
Yeah.
which is a little bit different of an experience because you're not, you're like, oh man, I hope no flying foot like kicks my camera or like a beer gets thrown at it or some shit like that. Because I'm, at least in a larger venue,
Hmm.
there's the guardrail. So you're like, okay, I have at least like what, 6-7 feet to walk around in.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about just like randos unless, they're crowd surfers or whatever. And usually
Hmm.
by that point, I feel like the pit's usually cleared out.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Like after first, three songs. Oh, but yeah. I mean, you do shoot amazing photos. I've seen the Yob ones that you took recently. That was like mind blowing.
Well, I mean, compared to like what I was doing in the beginning, which like I look at that and that wasn't even that long ago. That was like 2019 or something.
Oh shit.
I did some photography and like I look at it, I'm like, woof, man, yikes. It's amazing what like a couple different lenses will do for you.
Oh God, yes. It's all about the gears. It's just how much you invest in it, like makes it just like a huge difference, I guess.
So what do you use now? Like what's your setup?
I have a Canon 5D Mark III and 4, and my main lens is 24 to 70, and as well as like 70 to 200, so that covers everything. I am looking into the mirrorless now, if I can like utilize that thing. I haven't played around with it. They have like a Canon, what was that, R series? So I'm looking into it now.
I don't know. I'm not like a camera expert, and mine is like
Sorry,
kind of
I'm like geeking out on the cameras.
yeah. No, I do want to get something a little bit more advanced. I think in the
What do you have?
future, Rebel T6.
Rebel T6.
Yeah, definitely a starter's camera.
Huh. Interesting. I would love to play around with that sometime. You want to trade?
Maybe. It's good if you're doing just like it's really good for general photography. I think you
Mm-hmm.
need like to get the kind of stuff that you do, and my friend Tim Bugby and Sally Townsend, and like the stuff that they do, like
Mm.
you definitely need a specific camera and a specific
Mm-hmm.
lens.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other night I went to go see Magic Sword and Dance with the Dead, and that was like so difficult to photograph because it's just like strobes and bright lights and smoke and just all kinds of like things that just look terrible when you take a picture at the wrong
Yeah,
time.
for sure. Where was it at? Vitus?
I was at LPR, La
Oh,
Poisson Rouge.
LPR. Oh, they have that crazy backlit thing, spotlighty
Hmm.
thing, which is really hard sometimes. Like, that was
Is
good.
there a
Mhm.
particular thing that you just like when you're shooting that just drives you crazy? Like for me, I purple light is so hard to work with.
Oh my God, that fucking purple light and fucking like color wash anything, red, blue, like any sort of like, saturated one that is like single colored photo that just like flattens everything. Like you can't
Hmm.
even see the definition of the musicians' faces. Like I fucking hate that so much, but it looks great in person. So I wouldn't ask them to change anything, but yeah,
Right.
it's so hard to get. I try to like add a little bit of opposite color that in the on the color spectrum to kind of like bring out the definition in post because that helps a lot sometimes. So like if you shoot in like a red wash like environment, you try adding a little bit of like in cyan to it, so it kind of like counter effects and like just brings out like what was supposed to be in there.
I'm always trying to find just like little ways to like,
Hmm.
tweak it here and there and like try
Yeah,
something else, because I
yeah.
know that you can get really, really like dialed in and
Hmm.
very, nitpicky and specific.
Yeah.
And I think I was like that at first. And then once I kind of figured out, like, all right,
Mm.
these all basically look the same, or these are all the green light ones, these are all the red light ones, these are
Hmm.
all the ones I did with the flash or whatever.
Mm.
Once I just have like a set, I'm like, okay, this looks good. I just copy paste it. Like, I'll be
Right, right, yeah. Yeah,
honest.
yeah, the presets, right? Yeah, you have
Yes,
your go-to presets. You gotta have that, right?
because
Yeah,
I don't have all the time in the day to just be like
same.
obsessing over
That's
them.
yeah, that's why I'm so slow at like, releasing anything because like I take pride in like post-production. That's what I do for a living. So I just take my time like in tweaking all the colors. Like even though I do have a fuck ton of presets, like I'm never like satisfied. Like I need to make a new one. So I'll just like go in and just like work for like hours and like stop and just leave them alone, like marinate for like God knows for like 3 months or some shit sometimes, and just go back to it and just re-edit. That's like like most daunting, but then one of my forte of like a process. So I try to take that one, take time on it.
Like, how would you? Because you do a lot of experimenting in
Yeah, I
your
do.
photographs with light and
Yeah,
blur and
yeah.
motion. So, can
Hmm.
you talk about your style a little bit?
Yeah. I honestly tend to like, overcompensate a little bit with my post-production skills, but what I'm aiming at, like as far as my concert photography goes, I'm trying to find a way to kind of make my photos like, sound like something instead of like, how it looks like. I try to like somehow make it sing, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
It's just like that sensation you get from the concerts, that rush, the excitement, the relaxation, whatever the fuck you feel at that moment. I want to recreate that like in my photos. And that's what I try to do. And like, they look great. Like I'm taking like, photos of like all these like, renowned artists and whatnot. So like they can't, like I can't take bad photos, but just processing them out, just releasing them, it doesn't really like, make my heart sing, because, I feel like I need to add my feelings into it, hence all the effects and like an experimental, like, collage and everything, which kind of like, summarizes like, how I thought they sounded like, or like how they made me feel. So that's why I take pride in that process, to make sure like that kind of like, speaks to whoever is looking at the photos. Maybe like you probably get an idea of like what they sound like from my photos. That's my goal. It's just like I don't want to be generic about it. I try to like add like different kind of flavors into my photos. Like in like when it comes to like different bands, I kind of like just try to um switch it up a little bit, and like and change the tone, or like the color, the hues, to go with the sound of the band. So I'm just hoping I'm doing some justice on that one. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
I mean, I think that's a very cool way to approach it. I don't
Mm,
I suppose I also do that because you kind of want that, like, you
mm.
want to look at this picture and you want to feel a riff. Like you want
Right,
to
right.
feel the heaviness of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
You want to feel the, like, maybe you were a little bit scared for a second and you got,
Mhm.
or like, not because it was like a bad situation, but you just were like, I don't know what
Yeah.
that feeling was. Yeah,
Mhm.
I totally get that. And
Yeah.
I totally get why, and doing the enhancements afterwards, you can really draw out those
Mhm.
feelings and those moods and those
Yeah.
vibes.
Yeah.
And especially with heavy metal bands and,
Mhm.
the adjacent
Mm.
genres and whatnot, it's all about a mood.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about the moods. It's hard to like, listen to the band when I'm shooting, but I try to like, kind of like immerse myself in that moment, like as much as possible, while still focusing on my camera, which is pretty fucking hard. That's why like, my photos are like all over the place, like, out of focus, blurry, like, you name it. Like, I'm still in a, I'm still learning, like I'm still like, not perfect. It's really important for me to kind of get the whoever's looking at the photo, be like, have an idea of what the band is like, even though they probably know what they sound like to begin with. But then like, if that can like, if I can color their lives with, and it's just even just a little bit with my photography, like, and that would just make my life.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I was gonna say too that, there's times where, like, I'm shooting the show and I'm
Hmm.
like, I think it's also important to know kind of like when to put your camera down and like
Hmm.
enjoy the show too. Because
Hmm.
there's times
Hmm.
where I've been at a show, I'm like, man, I've been like taking photographs for like 30 minutes and they probably
Yeah.
have like maybe 10 or 15 minutes left in their set. And I'm like, maybe I'll just like stop. I think I've gotten everything.
Yeah,
Because I
definitely.
because I think you're like, oh, but there's gonna be that moment. There's gonna be that moment. It's like
Hmm.
you're gonna have that moment no matter what. Like, because you're
Yeah.
just gonna catch someone at the right angle at the right
Yeah.
moment with the right lighting and
Hmm.
everything, with the
Hmm.
right expression on their face, and
Hmm.
you've done it, and you probably don't even know it.
Right, exactly. Like you have to experience that as a music fan, in order to get like, great shots, in my opinion. Like, as far as like, well, you can be, dead ass professional about it, but at the same time, you still have to like absorb, what you loved, just starting out doing photography. And that's probably why you probably see me like, just rocking out at the photo pit, looking like a complete fucking professional, idiot who's just dancing around with the crowd. But I love that.
It's part of the experience.
It sure is. It's nothing but, the experience, the whole thing. Just growing up, like going to concerts, like, seeing your heroes in person, in flesh, for the first time. That kind of like, surprising moment that you realize the fact that they actually exist. That kind of aha experience. Like I don't ever want to forget that, and I want to, inject that as much as I can into my photography.
So you talked about, kind of kicking things off. You got the
Mhm.
photograph down. So
Mhm.
I went on your website and I just picked out a few random ones that caught my eye, and I thought we could
Ooh,
talk about some of the bands that you photographed, and if you could say, anything about the experience, and if there's anything else, any others in particular that you wanted to, talk about. Well, obviously, we can do that too.
sounds good.
So the first one is I've never seen this band, but I found out about this band through just
Mhm.
somebody else within my circle who really like loves heavy metal, and I don't believe that this band is heavy metal at all, but they are kind of, they're rock. I don't really know anything about them actually. I don't think I've ever listened to them. I just know they have striking appearance. That's Mother Feather, and I was just wondering if you could tell me a little bit more a about the band, and B, sort of like what it was like
Mhm.
photographing them.
Oh God. That was I think was back in 2016 or 17. An event called like Brooklyn slash Tokyo or something like that. That was like a little bit of like cultural like mix of concerts and like as well as like the artists like vendors and shit like that.
Mhm.
That happened in Brooklyn, and they happened to play there with I forgot who it was, Miyavi, the guitarist from Japan. I'm not sure if you know that guy.
I'm not
He's pretty
familiar.
he's pretty big. So he was headlining, and Mother Feather happened to be on the bill, and I think they released a record or something with Metal Blades back then. I think they would call themselves cock rock or something like that, like as far as the genre. And like visually you can see like how interesting they are with their makeup and like just like aesthetics. They're not necessarily metal, but I would say they're on the heavier side of rock and roll, singing about feminism, I think.
Cool. I mean, they certainly seem like a very cool act,
Hmm.
regardless. Like
I
all
love
of
them.
yeah, there's a lot of great like opportunities with these, like, I don't even know what this capes, dresses.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, like all those like weird like flowy costumes that they have.
mhm.
It's just fascinating. That makes some of the really great pictures, because like they just like swing that shit around and like dance around, like a lot of movements. I've been dying for them to come back on the scene. I don't think they have played in like years, like ever since pandemic. But I'm just dying to get them again now that I've gotten a little better. But those were the shots that were where it was successful, like in the way that I pushed the color to the limit, and like it's blinding, but that's how I felt, like just looking at them. It was just so bright and like lively, and like this strong female presence that I felt. So hence all these crazy colors.
So this next one is a band that I'm certainly familiar with and I've definitely listened to before, but I haven't seen them. And
Hmm.
when you have a really intense and
Hmm.
animated frontman,
Hmm.
it goes pretty far. And I get an idea of what this band is like, and
Yeah.
that's Child Bite.
Oh my
And
goodness, Child
uh,
Bite.
yeah, I really would like to see this band because this guy reminds me of, he's got like the Neil Fallon from Clutch sort of
Yes.
presence, and he's got a beard too. But I can tell that it's like, this is sort of like if Clutch was drunk. But I'm
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
suggesting that this guy is a drunkard or anything like that. But he's got that intense. He's doing a lot of things with his finger and
Oh yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah. He's
So yeah,
totally,
tell me about this.
totally a fucked up like twin of the Clutch. I always like like I've shot Clutch once, and I'm like, that's Sean right there, like a normal, like a straight edge version of Sean. Child Childbite is a great fucking band. They are in Michigan. I think they're I think Kate's grew up with them, as a matter of fact, and they signed to with the housecore a while back, and this was shot at Vitus.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was a pretty simple light, but it's just like just the movement that Sean brings. It's one of those things where like I just want to keep shooting forever. Like every song, every moment, he just makes this like really bizarre, almost like chronically sick kind of like this Like he's out his fucking mind kind of like move. Even like his facial expressions, that just it's just really captivating. I love them so much. Again, the vibrant colors just kind of like wanted to bring out that insanity that he kind of exudes from like playing the set, and they sound amazing too. And I think they're on playing or like either on tour right now or in the summer. I'm not sure, but I think they're doing something soon, so we might as well catch them. Or maybe it was Narcotics that Sean has, the other band that he's in. Have you heard of that band before?
I have not.
They're awesome too.
I don't see a tour, so I'll just keep my eyes peeled for this one in the
Okay.
future for sure. Though,
Okay,
like,
sorry.
yeah,
Like, yeah, that could have been something else.
there's one in here that I love, and it's like he's got the mic
Hmm.
cord in like his.
Around his neck.
No,
Yeah,
not
that's
around
the
his
one.
neck. I'm just like trying. Oh, in
Yeah.
his right hand, and he's like
Uh huh.
pulling it forward, but he's holding the mic with his left hand. And it's like kind of like a Spider-Man thing, where it's like it's almost like he's got like a
Oh.
whip or like a rope or so. Like
Oh
it
yeah, is
just
it the
looks like he's
pink
like gonna
one?
cast something. Yeah, it's very
Oh my
cool.
god, I love that shot so much. You see that intenseness like in his eyes. It's just like he's fucking going nuts.
Yeah, he looks
And he,
beastly.
right? And he's not even acting. It just comes out naturally. But like in person, he's such a gentle, really intelligent, like and shy, artistic guy. And boom, like on stage, like he unleashes his like fucking I don't know what it is, but it's just like kind of like explodes on stage. And I got to photograph this. I just feel so grateful.
So the next one is
Hmm.
I actually was able to photograph this band for a little bit, and I'm very happy I
Who?
did because they're fucking awesome.
Who's
Um,
that?
and I've spoken to one of the people in this band too, and he's
Hmm.
fucking hilarious. And I love all these pictures because I like the way that you edited them to make them look kind of like old and scratchy, like
Hmm.
kind of indicative of that
Ooh, I
would
know who
be
you're.
Witch Taint,
Oh my god.
the best band name ever.
Oh my god, Mr. Dave Hill.
Yeah, Dave rules.
Shout out. Yeah, he is the funniest guy ever. Remember that grasshopper thing he did with Philip Anselmo a few years back?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
No, I think that was the first time I've ever seen him. I didn't know he was, based in New York at the time. I mean, he still is, but I saw him like, just doing that thing, and I was like, oh my god, who's this guy? And sorry, I'm like all these bands, like, people are like in housecore related. Like, I'm just like, I just consider them my family. Like, and I didn't know of this witch taint thing.
This witch taint. Not that witch taint, but
What?
this witch taint.
This
Not that
this
witch's
witch
taint.
taint. This one right here. Have you've seen them, right? Like the set is just hilarious.
Yeah, they're awesome. And
Right?
their albums are hilarious. Or the album, rather. Excuse me.
Hmm. Yeah. So I went to see them, and I just wanted to like shoot them in a way that was like the blackest metal fucking ever. Even though like and they're hilarious and everything, I just want to be a little like sarcastic or like ironic about these shots because like they look so fucking amazing, like hardcore like black metal band in these photos. But then like if you go see them, there's like a lot of skits and like what they sing about is like that little goofiness.
Just thinking about being mean.
Oh my god. I'm just looking at them right now. Oh my goodness. You would not be able to tell that, these people are like, doing all these songs that are like kind of the furthest from the black metal scene.
I watched him do a live stream one time on Facebook, and I
Oh
was
yeah?
impressed that like everybody just stayed in character for the entire thing. It was really impressive.
Right, they just never get out of their characters. It's just amazing.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
these dudes.
Same.
All
Yeah,
right.
I would love to shoot them again.
Next one, like, kind of goes without saying, it was going to be brought up.
Uh-huh.
Top tier band for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's sort of a state, we were talking about Psycho Las Vegas, and they're a
Mhm.
staple, of course. And but this was cool too, because this was like kind of like one of the earlier debuts for a new drummer for them. And of course, I'm talking about fucking High on Fire.
Oh yeah, ooh ooh ooh, Electric Messiah.
Yeah. Well, there's this pretty amazing picture of Matt where it looks like somebody just like killed someone next to him, and he's like reacting to it. But it's like a pretty
Really?
amazing, yeah, it's a pretty fucking rad picture. It was the one that I saw going around on the internet. So was that the first time you had seen them?
I'd seen them before in prior with the remember that leg with Power Trip,
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
right? That was like the most intense thing I've seen elsewhere. I felt like complete in love with High on Fire. I was back then like still not that into the whole scene of like doom and stoner. So that was like the first biggest band that I've ever seen came in that scene, and they just blew my mind. Like the heaviness, it's almost like you're looking at this like war tank like going straight into a fucking forest, like just like it's such a powerful like presentation that they brought, and I've been fascinated like by them, and I've always wanted to shoot them. I didn't have PhotoPass back then, so I got to shoot them at Cycle Las Vegas last year, and the light was amazing.
Yeah, that room, like
Hmm.
for whatever issues they may have with the sound, the lighting rig is fucking amazing.
God, it was just the best lighting ever. I'm not sure if this was done by that guy, I forgot his name, the lighting artist that does the Danzig and the current Deftones tour.
Oh, that I
Can't
don't
remember.
know.
Right, yeah. But the lighting was amazing. There's just like green shots coming like from the camera right in like in the purple like mix of everything, which made him like look really spooky, like ghostly almost. So I try to bring that in. I think I added like some sort of like a little movement effect to Lord Pike. Should I call it Lord Pike?
Yeah,
Or do people call that?
that's just like what people call them. I don't know. It's just like, Lord. Well, number one, it sounds badass, and number
It
two,
does. Yeah, it's
and
so
number two,
regal.
like, yeah, I think that's what they labeled him before or
Hmm.
whatever. So, because like Lord, I don't know, it's very like
Yeah.
doomy and shit.
Yeah, it's like Riff Lord or like, Lord
Yeah, exactly,
Pike.
Riff Lord.
Yeah. I mean, deserved title really, but yeah.
It's a good way to
Oh my
describe him, like an old beat up tank.
god. Yeah, just going through the forest like and yakking all those trees down. That kind of like powerful like oh god, I'm just looking at these and like was this the first time that Cody played with them?
I don't know. I don't actually
Mm.
know. I think they played in Texas before that.
Oh, right. Okay.
This was
He
probably the biggest. I mean, it was
mhm.
probably the biggest debut he had.
Oh, he was so good. Like, I was like shooting from the side of the stage, and all I heard was his actual drum.
Dude, he fucking is an amazing drummer. Like,
Oh
Big
God, yes,
Business is awesome
yes,
too.
yes. Oh.
You have to hit hard in that band. So, like,
Mhm.
I've seen them with their original drummer, Des.
Mhm.
Obviously, he's a fucking legend. And
Yes.
then I've seen them with two other fill-in drummers, and
Mhm.
like good drummers, but not, as far as I know, like not like kind of like what they were looking for. And I think Cody just like gets it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He just fit right in, and like, and even like, made it sound better. I don't know if it was like, because I was like right next to him or anything, but oh God, the rush I got from his drumming, I still can't like, I remember that still. And he looks so much fun playing drums. Like he's like having like, his best time of his life, like, just like being up on stage with High on Fire as High on Fire. It was just like his excitement on his face. It was priceless.
Yeah, because he's probably like, oh, this isn't like all this weird technical nonsense that I have to do with like Big Business or the Melvins.
Mhm.
It's like I'm just like pummeling these drum
Mhm.
kits,
Mhm.
But I mean,
And
he yeah,
yeah,
he knows how to hit. I mean,
I know.
he's one of those drummers that is the perfect balance between like technically
Mhm.
gifted,
Mhm.
but still like a very cool, fun, interesting, like loose drummer to watch.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. Like, one of my favorite drummers, I think. Speaking of which, were you at the Sepultura the other day?
No, I was not at
Oh,
that
you
one.
missed out big time.
Yeah, how
That
was it?
new drummer, I mean,
Oh
it's
wait, was that when you was Crowbar on that tour?
Crowbar. Yes,
Oh, well, they're the
Crowbar.
next band actually, but we can talk about both of them. So,
Okay, good.
Crowbar, the most
Cr-
epic beard of all
oh my
time.
goodness, Kirk. Kirk is the sludge god, I would say, from Louisiana. Like he brings out, like he's so still on stage, but like the sound is just fucking. I don't know how he does it. Like how he's like pretty like still on stage, but then like still brings out this
Hmm.
heaviest fucking thing that you can like you didn't even know it existed. I just love Crowbar. Oh, like the new album is just amazing too. I think they did a couple songs out of it for the last leg.
Well, number one, just like you were saying that like Kirk is kind of like a more stationary performer, but
Mhm.
and yet
Mhm.
somehow you manage to like capture a lot of moments where it's like he's bringing the heavy, and everything
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
There's this a great like sort of like neck down shot like that
Oh,
he
the
did.
black and white one?
No, it's blue. It's like right
It's
at the top.
blue. Oh.
And
Oh
that's like
yeah.
sort of like a moment of like it's a lot of energy. Like it's energy building up and coming at you.
Oh my god. Is that the one I fucked up the focus on?
Maybe, but it still works well.
Kirk loves that photo. Like, thank goodness I just made him happy. Like he does this thing where like he poses for you sometimes,
Mhm.
and my heart just skips beating and I fuck up. And that's the result of it. But I think it looks cool in a way that, this like veins on his hand and like all the like finger and like the sharpness of the guitar, like, everything kind of made sense. And that's one of my, favorite shots out of this set. And the color, the purple and blue. And I wanted like kind of like a muted, color overall for this. So like his shape stands out. I love this
Yeah.
shot.
It,
Yeah.
it's like it's almost like it's like he's trying to control something and like the rest of
Mhm.
him is almost like burning up. But like it's getting like consumed by this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously that, not really what happened. He didn't just immolate on stage.
Yeah. That presence, that, godly presence, I think that is like, what is in this picture, and that's what makes it look so great. It's just that heaviness that he brings. Oh, I hope I was able to like, deliver that through my photography on this one. It's just that it's hard to describe, but I just feel like, this is what they sounded like.
I don't know what you did here, but it's like with the tree branches, it's
Oh my
like
goodness. Yeah, right? Like,
where it's like it looks
he
like the stuff is like almost growing out of him. I mean, I know you did like some effects work and,
Mhm.
post-production stuff there.
Yeah, I think that those plates were shot with my iPhone, and I placed it onto the a close-up shot of Kirk where he's looking down, looking like this. I mean, I feel nature, like, from him sometimes, like just power of nature, like
Mhm.
Mother Earth. And I feel that
Deep
so much.
roots.
Very much so. Like, I grew up in Japan, like as I told you, like experienced like a lot of earthquakes, it's just like the sound and the vibration and like the horror like coming from the ground. That powerfulness, that, you know, feeling that I kind of like feel within him in a good way.
Mhm.
So I wanted to kind of express that into that particular photo. That was, I think, shot in NOLA, actually. Yeah, that was from NOLA. I love that shot so much.
Was this a Halloween show?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. How do
Oh,
you know
okay.
about
Yeah. Oh, okay. I
that?
didn't realize that it was two different shows in the same gallery. Okay. That
Yeah,
clears up a lot of confusion. Now I
right?
understand. I was
The
gonna
lighting's a
say,
little different, right? Yeah. So that was shot at the Southport in NOLA because I went to a Halloween thing that the house court did last year at Philip's house, and they happened to be playing the night before, so I went to shoot them. I love this shot as much as I love that one for Shane that's like right next to that tree comp shot where like he's just like closing his eyes, that's just feeling that vibration is like coming out
Hmm.
of space.
Yeah, he's
I love that
vibing.
shot so. That kind of like an expression that musicians like just bring out, like I want to capture that. I kind of like tend to go for like a more of like a close-up shots rather than just the full body shots,
Hmm.
because like you don't really get to see that close up like when you're in the at the show, like even at the front row, you don't see that. So I just want to deliver something that is like as an audience never seen, so hence the close-up shots and like the energy and like the emotions that they they're bringing. So that's where it was.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
the last one I want to talk about is actually two, and it's just
Mm,
because we were both at this show and we
mm.
both photographed it. It's actually where we like met in reality. And that was Weedeater and Joe Buck Yourself opening up plus a
Oh my
couple other
god,
bands for Weedeater.
can you, yeah, do you remember that night? It was so epic.
I got incredibly wasted. Ate too much food,
Oh my
did not
god.
feel good. It was a
Oh, you
rough.
didn't feel good.
Oh man, no, the next day was rough.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were like having so much fun. I thought you were.
Oh yeah, in the moment I was, but like as soon as I got into the car ride back with my buddy who lives a couple blocks away from me, I was
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh boy, this
Oh
is
shit.
this is gonna be a rough night."
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was just an amazing night where I had seen Weedeater once with COC Devil Driver, Mothership, and Crowbar.
Mm, yes, that would make sense. I think I
Right,
actually
yeah.
might have seen some of that tour too.
Oh,
Yeah,
Joe Buck Yourself. That crazy motherfucker.
yeah,
That chronically fucking insane of a rock star. Uh the outlaw, what do you call that? Rockabilly hillbilly.
yeah.
Joe
I
Buck
mean,
Yourself.
this dude has like the most distinctive face ever. Every single photograph of him, he's got a different face.
Is he not terrifying and attractive at the same time?
Yeah, he's got a strange charm to him, and I think
Right?
he would probably agree with that assessment of himself.
I fell in love. That was like the love at first sight. Like he started playing. I didn't know he was gonna play by himself. I was kind of waiting for that. I didn't know like of him that much.
Hmm.
That aside from the fact that they, he used to play with like Hank Williams the third
Hmm.
and everything, and I didn't know what to expect. And he started setting up, and I'm like, oh, this guy's by himself. What's going on? And this guitar case. Oh my god, dude, the guitar case. He pulls out, and it happens to be a fucking what do you call that?
Acoustic.
Acoustic, and he uses that shit as the rhythm section, as like a the pedals and shit, and they he has within that case, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a really simple setup on his part, and like
Right.
that dude brought it. Like
Oh
just
god.
157% he brought it.
Right, like, and the minute started playing, I'm like, what the fuck is this guy? And like it's just so captivated my heart so much I started screaming. I don't know if you were like right behind me. I don't know where you were in the crowd, but I'm just like rocking, like just like almost like on the verge of crying, like because he was so scary and beautiful at the same time,
Yeah,
dude. Like,
it was quite an eclectic bill because I mean, you had like punk
mm-hmm,
rock band, uh,
mm-hmm,
you had like fucking Joe Buck Yourself like bluegrass acoustic set, and then you had
mm-hmm,
Atomic Bitchwax, which is just like
mm-hmm.
stoner rock or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
and then of course
yeah.
fucking Weed Eater.
Weed
So
eater.
like, but I loved it. What an amazing lineup.
Exactly, like, it's just like a mishmash of everything that you love, that, it's just like a party. It was such a treat, like, I feel like I went to Disneyland or something, and, like, Joe
Disneyland on
Buck and
acid.
like that fucking Dismal Land that they, Banksy made, like, a few years back, remember that shit?
No, I didn't see that one that he
Oh
did.
god. Yeah, like, I kind of like this event kind of reminded me of like, just his work. I don't know for some reason. And Joe Buck started like drooling at like mid set, and I got to catch that a little bit. There's a second shot of him like close up, and he's drooling, literally drooling. I
I
don't
was
know
hoping
why.
it was just sweat, but
No, he was drooling like crazy.
nice.
Oh, yeah, I would love to see him again. Like I've been waiting. I think he's gonna be on tour like in soon within the Midwest region. I'm not sure. Like he's definitely playing Michigan, PJ Lager House or somewhere. I might
Nice.
travel there. Like, that's how much I fucking loved it. And you seen that crazy edit that I did for some of the shots?
Yeah, with the red.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it gives a real sense of like what's the right word?
What,
It's
insanity?
like yeah, but it's like I mean it's like literally like it's like code red, danger, urgent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's
Yep.
like
That's yeah.
it kind of reminds me of like an Italian horror movie, like a
Mm-hmm.
giallo flick, where it's just like
Yeah.
everything gets like flush with a certain color for some fucking reason.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. That's what I want to do. Like, but he still remains black and white. That uncomfortable balance of colors, but I fucking love this red so much. Like it's so muted.
It's
And
very
somehow
cool.
oh, oh, thank you.
It's like a
Yeah, that
3D picture from hell.
oh my god, this kind of represents like how insanely good I thought he was. It's just like the energy that scares you, that just put in one picture to explain it. I fucking love these.
And then I guess we'll round out with Weedeater, who I was very happy. Personally, I was
Oh,
like, wow, I can't believe that like I get to do this. Like I was like, I can't
mm-hmm.
believe I'm photographing weed because I know like people have photographed weed eater a million gajillion times.
Uh-huh.
But like for me, I'm like, this is great. I got this one moment and it was a really cool opportunity because like those
Yeah.
dudes, I mean, I've seen them be amazing and I've seen them be sloppy, and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
good either way.
Oh yeah. How was this night particularly?
This was definitely a together night. I felt like
Oh, together
they
night.
yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely felt like they were on that night. And I mean, it
Uh-huh.
was like, big it was like the first tour back after
Right.
well, whatever, the pandemic lulled a bit and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So it was for me, this was an odd night because like they played Psycho Las Vegas. I mean, they've played a lot of them, but the one
Mm-hmm.
year they got called in
Mm-hmm.
2019, as I bring up a lot, Shep
Yeah.
was so drunk he fell over on stage, kept
Oh
playing his
shoot.
guitar.
Oh shoot. I would love to see that though.
You can see it.
That
Just go on YouTube and the whole set's
oh, it's on
there.
YouTube? Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
I'm doing that
awesome.
right
But yeah, this
after.
was a great night. I mean,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it was epic. Like I didn't really expect them to be so camera friendly. They were actually like, at some point like posing for me, I feel like. They were that photographic. I have like a lot of shots. I think that they were looking at into my lens. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was one of those moments like I don't know if it was like a particular like in a venue or like the setting. It was so intimate and it was like almost like a block party-ish kind of vibe going on. And I felt like I've known these guys for like years and years, even though I've probably like, had like exchanged like a few words with them in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a fun show, and I hope that my photos kind of have like, delivers how fun it was.
Oh, I
What
I think so. I
oh, I
absolutely
hope
think
so.
so.
I certainly fucking hope so. Like, people are like partying and like and rocking out.
Well, that's the
Oh.
yeah. I mean, it was kind of it was helpful that it was outdoors that you could like really
Mhm.
get around, and like it's
Mhm.
cool that you included some shots of the crowd enjoying it, and shout
Yeah.
outs too because you got fucking Ben Jones and Mr. Comfy himself, my buddy Diego.
Oh, Diego.
Yeah, Diego rules.
Yeah, he sure is the best. I think I met him for the first time at Psycho Vegas. He was hanging out with a Alisa, the wife of Lord Pike, and that's
Oh yeah,
how.
Alyssa.
Yeah, yeah, we started talking, and he asked me if I wanted to come out, and I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, why not, right? Or maybe I asked him if I could come out, and like I always ask him. But yeah, it was such a fun night. Are they on tour right now?
Weed Eater, yeah, they're on tour right now, but not in this area.
Oh no.
They'll be back, I'm sure.
I certainly hope so. Before summer. No, it's not happening before summer.
Are there any
Yeah.
other pictures or any other artists you wanted to, highlight?
I mean, I would love to talk about Osees, but it's not necessarily.
Fuck it, we'll talk about OCs.
I mean, have you seen Osees before?
No, I have not seen OCs before, and they kind of intimidate me because they have such a large discography.
They come out probably like 3 albums a year or something at least, which is amazing. That creative drive that John Dwyer has is just insane. And their show, like, their set gets really crazy. Like the whole like despite of like, the genre that is, garage, it's like the most intense mosh pit I've experienced at Warsaw. And I always try to like, make him look like somewhat of like on a goofy side, but then like, just like try to bring a little bit of effects kind of.
They have two drummers.
They
Holy
they
shit,
always
they have two drummers.
they have two drummers, which works amazingly, and they're always in the Z center of the stage. So like you get to hear like the actual sound of drums, like Ozzy shoot them, which is amazing. And they played at Psycho Vegas last year as well.
Yeah, I think I just scrolled down to this section.
Yeah,
Whew,
and
outdoors.
I know. Can you imagine like all those like bearded, long-haired metalheads like rocking out to Osees in the pool, like literally. So that was an interesting setting that I got to shoot within. But I wanted to kind of like make them look like, from like the ancient like war photos of like really dry kind of like.
Oh yeah, like people like sort of like they've been through the ringer for a while.
Yes, yes. That's what I wanted to bring out because like, they were fucking warriors, man. Like this is not like they were playing to not necessarily a right crowd, but they rocked it so hard. Like, that kind
Mhm.
of like mentality, like the strength that they have of warriors. Like I wanted to bring that out so much. I love OCs. You have to check them out.
I will.
Mm-hmm. I'll take you.
Okay.
Yeah, the next time.
Is there a band that you're dying to photograph, or do
Oh
you
my
have like?
god.
I mean, I'm sure you have a bucket list.
Well, I have one definitely. Like I've been obsessed with Yob so fucking much to the point where I'm probably like stalking them so much online. Remember that Saint Vitus like 4 nights in a row show that they
Yeah,
did like earlier?
yeah. I went to 3 of the nights.
You went
It
to
was
3.
yeah, it was
Oh,
epic.
lucky you. I got in on the second night. No, the third night. And they did a set where I think I forgot. Let me bring out the
Oh, you got
set
the set
list.
list?
Yes. Yeah, so I got the set list for the night 3, and I hadn't I'd known of them for a while. I've always wanted to see them, and this is the first time I've ever seen them. Wasn't like, I couldn't tell like, which songs were they were playing. That's how little I knew about them, but I wanted to see them. And I think that moment they started playing Marrow, I broke down, like bawling my eyes out, like literally screaming, crying, because this is the band where I felt like their sound is just have this like this power that is healing, this like forgiveness or like, generosity that I've like never felt from a stoner band. I mean, the doom band. Uh, Are they doom stoner? Like I can't really fucking.
Yeah. Yes. Sure. I mean, I I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, loosely they're a doom metal band.
Okay.
I guess you could argue that they might have more in common with like a post metal band. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're a little more experimental than your average doom metal band. Let's
I
put it
see.
that way.
Okay. Okay.
For
That makes
which
sense.
is amazing for a band that's just 3 people.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't like if you close your eyes and listen to them, you feel like 1,000 fucking people playing. Like
Yeah.
that thickness of sound, as well as like, Mike's like, really, melodic shout, and like, high pitch, like, opera like singing, that just like seeped right into my heart, and I started crying. And that was the most religious experience I've ever had in, musically in my life. And I would love to shoot them. Like, I know they're not coming around like until probably next year or so, but I'm literally on the verge of like flying out to London or somewhere to shoot them. That's how
That-
much I that's how much I'm obsessed with them right now. And I, just on the bucket list.
so
Top of it.
you were just there to enjoy the show for those
I
days.
was, yeah, I didn't know what to
Wow.
expect. I'm like, yeah, yeah, sure. So I went there. Third night, I broke down. I had it kind of they kind of changed my life. I don't know, in a way where I didn't know the potential of like music. Yeah, I never felt anything like that before. And I told them, like, they were obviously like, just looking at this like weird Japanese, like crying her eyes out, like, on the front row. Aaron actually invited me back into the fourth night, and I'm like, I'm definitely coming back. And he put me on the list, and I just came back for the fourth night, and that was also the best night ever. Were you on the fourth night?
Yeah, I went the first night, the second night, and the fourth night. I didn't go to the
Right,
third
yeah,
night.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the third night, that was the night. Yeah, I love this song Marrow so much. There's something about them that is like so significantly different from any other bands,
They're really special.
right? I don't know what it is. It feels so close to home, like we're almost like I grew up going to shrines and temples and whatnot, just for like funerals and everything. I'm not particularly religious or anything, but I kind of felt like this. I don't like to throw this word around too much, but like this Zen moment where I feel like
Mhm.
I'm in the space where like and everything's empty, but then like filled with sound. It's hard to describe. It's just so hypnotic.
I think they have kind of a unique way of tapping into a spiritual nature. That
Mhm.
make
Mhm.
without getting too woo woo about it, like that doesn't feel too appropriative, with that,
Right.
because like there's some people that just like really like lean into certain like cultural things
Mhm.
from other countries, and it's kind of like it's
Mhm.
you're just like a white dude or something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like they do it, and if they do it, it feels like, to me at least, it's done in a more respectful manner, and it's
Very
done
much
in a
so.
very like, even though it's not religious, that I can tell, it's kind of like a, I don't know. I'm not a very particularly religious person either. I'm not, let me rephrase that. I am not a religious person. And if there is a way that a non-religious person can feel that kind of same
Mhm.
energy,
Mhm.
I probably find a lot of that from music. And like they're a really good source for that, just to like, you feel very much at ease, and like there's sort of this it's like you're relinquishing a lot of things, like
Mhm.
tensions and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. It's so authentic.
There's a lot has been said about that band, but like
Mhm.
they fucking rule. What can I say?
Yob is love.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just you don't see that every day.
Have you been listening to anything lately of note? Anything that
of
you've been enjoying? Doesn't matter whether it's like new or old or whatever.
of Yob?
No, just in general.
Oh, general. What have I been listening to? I started listening to country music.
I probably have listened to the most country music over the last like couple of years than I have my entire life.
But I've been listening to a lot of Janice Ian, the folk singer.
Not familiar, but I'm sure it's good.
Oh gosh, she's just amazing. She's I think she's in Florida right now, like touring, and she's
Hmm.
coming around like pretty soon to New York City. It's one of those where like the artists that I grew up listening to, before like my Michigan days, wasn't really into anything that was heavy necessarily because I didn't have any knowledge of it, like the
Hmm.
heavy music, the existence of it. Like I was like pretty ignorant, like as far as it goes, and I was listening to a lot of like folk music, classic American music, and that includes like Eagles, Chicago, like just and folk for like Johnny Mitchell, Neil Young, and among that, was Janice Ian. So I've been listening to her a lot these days because she's coming in, and I get to see her for the first time in my life, which is going to be her very last tour. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What have I been listening to? I listened to the new album by the band Satan called Earth Infernal. I listened
Satan?
to just Satan. There's this Canadian band called Seer, Seer. They just put out their like 7th release or something. They're all titled like Volume 1, Volume 2, etc., etc. So I listened to the new one. It's fucking awesome. So I went back and listened to volumes 1 through 4. And I got to listen to the next couple after that. I listened to this band Aluna, their album Strange Machine. This like really sludgy band called Collapse to Me. That's like that's like a collapse. That's not a collapse to me bag? Is that a thing?
Oh god, colostomy bag?
No, sorry, I'm thinking of colostomy, not okay, never mind. That would be really gross. Anyway, I don't know.
You're talking about shit bag.
Literally. Yeah, I don't believe their name is code for shit bag. No. But if you like sludgy stuff, that was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I listened to the new Undeath album. It's time ... to rise from the grave. Excellent death metal.
Oh yeah.
This band Pilar. The album was called Abysmos. And I listened to Boy Harsher for the first time. I listened to their album Careful, and it's amazing. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're into David Lynch and synthesizers,
you'll like it. Yes. Oh my goodness.
And I listened. Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, right on. I started listening to this band called Floor.
Oh, Floor is amazing. Floor rules.
I somehow got in touch with this Harry guy, the drummer guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A mutual friend of mine, introduced me to him for some reason, and we started chatting. We've been pen pals, ever since. And I wasn't aware that he was a band dude for a short while, and he started talking about his band. He's like, "Oh, I used to have this band," or "I'm in this band called Floor," and I'm like, And it's such an interesting take on the whole genre of the doom stoner thing, where the vocals are really almost like pop, I would say, in a very fucking good way, with heavy ass fucking almost bass sound like guitar. I can't even tell apart from guitar and bass, almost. That band is amazing.
Yeah, Floor is great, and Steve Brooks would go on to be in Torch, which is Torch is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Too. But Floor is definitely one of those bands that now people really dig the shit out of them, of course. But there's a lot of bands that owe Floor quite a bit for inspiration, because they definitely have that gross, sludgy sound that is very indicative of a lot of bands going forward. So Floor is fucking great.
Right? I didn't even realize, how influential their music was to the time that was after. And I started listening to it, and I got to listen more. And I'm hoping Harry's going to recover and start touring again. He's looking forward to that. Yeah.
If you like them, I would also suggest listening to Cavity. A couple of people in that band. Well, Steve Brooks was also in Cavity, and another person in the band, Juan Montoya, would go on to be in Torch and Floor. And then there's another dude in there, and he would go on to be in Black Cobra, which is a great fucking band too. Yeah, Florida had a really strange metal scene between death metal and then just strange small sludge metal corner that built up.
Right, I didn't know of that scene.
I guess it makes sense because Florida's a weird, fucked up state.
I guess so. I mean, good for us, just like taking advantage of that fucked
Yeah.
upness.
Is there anything that you would like to plug? Where people could find your work, and if they want to get in touch with you so you can take awesome pictures of bands and whatnot.
Oh, Instagram and website, the tinfoilbiter.com.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to ask this question. What's
Oh
the
my God, I know
origin
what's
of the
coming.
name?
Well, I knew it was coming. So growing up, oral hygiene was not in my daily regimen per se. Like I didn't grow up brushing my teeth. So I would have like all these like silver teeth like in my mouth, and I would just like bite into the tinfoil just to get that, weird fucking thing where like, it just kind of has that shock. You know how that goes, right? Like, it's just like a talkable word kind of thing where it would just like intentionally bite into a tinfoil and you get that sensation of like, ah! And that kind of that shocking, that electric moment kind of speaks to where I want to go with my photography. So like as goofy as it sounds, I mean, I'm a goofy person, like as you can probably tell, that, and also that, that sensation that you get, like the really fucking colorful, vivid experience. I want to incorporate that name into my work that I do with concert photography.
I was really like wondering. I was like, I wonder if she really like used to bite
I
tinfoil at
did.
some point, and
I
you
did.
do or
Yeah,
did.
did. Thank God I have like all these like, porcelain crowns now, but then like, back then I was like, I had this like silver mouth. So yeah, it's stupid, but just I just decided,
It's a
that's my
cool.
name.
I mean, it's a cool. It's a very distinctive, unique title. That's for
Oh,
sure.
oh, that's a
So
compliment. Thank you. It has like I wanted to like, be goofy about it because like you see like the use of it's like the Beatles, the fucking Terminator, that kind of like, regal presence, but then like it's the tinfoil biter, which is kind of like, goofy as shit. So I wanted to kind of like, be a little stupid with my name. It's
I
fun.
think, yeah, I like it. I think it has like sort of it's got kind of like
Yeah.
like a schlocky horror movie vibe to it.
Yes,
It's
very
just
much
like
so.
he walks at night, beware of, or whatever. Nobody
Yeah.
knows what it is. They just know it as the tinfoil biter. Rated X.
Oh my God, I'm glad that you caught that vibe. Oh man, yeah. And at the same time, like people have like in trouble like pronouncing my name, so I wanted something that was a little more, Western friendly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk about your entire life and your photography. I being able to talk to photographers who do this kind of thing,
Hmm.
uh, I find very rewarding, because it just offers a completely different and special perspective on going to a show.
Amazing. Well,
So
thank you so much for having me. I don't really get to do this, so it's just amazing that I get to kind of talk about my work and people might be interested in it.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
highly encourage anybody to go check out Tomoko's website, because the photography is amazing. So
Thank you.
I'll see. Hopefully, I'll run into you at a show sooner than later. You're going to be at Desert Fest, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm still
Okay,
waiting for like, to be clear for the photo pass, but I think they're busy like, sorting something else out. So
that will do it for this chapter of the diary.
Can I swear on this show?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, because I swear all the time. Like it just slips out. Like